147 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So as Israel, as he got older, so this is with a famous story which we're not going to get into tonight. He tells his son Yosef, swear that you're going to bury me in Eretz Yisrael, which is a subject on its own. Burying in Eretz Yisrael, you see that there's a tremendous tremendous advantage. The truth is, there are some opinions who hold that one shouldn't be buried in Eretz Yisrael if he's in Chutz La'aretz, but the Sfaradim go like the Zohar Kadosh that say it's important to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. But I remember, I once spoke to the son of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein was unquestionably the biggest rabbi in America in the 1980s, right? He was died in 1986, I think. And his funeral in Israel was the largest they ever had. Now already it's Rav Avad Yosef's is the largest, but his was the largest they've ever seen. But his son told me when they put him on the airplane, he there was a complication, and the plane wouldn't go on. So his son was on the plane. He told me that he was going to decide that, if there's going to be another complication, they're going to bury him in New York. Imagine they had I don't know how many thousands of people waiting in Israel, but he says, what can I do? There's no obligation in Israel. My father never said where to be buried, so we're just going to bury them. So the plane took off at the end, but the turn of events, nobody knows. It could have really went in one way or the other.
But Rabbi, what did they say about that your soul is not in rest till you're actually buried? Does it decline?
Of course, what do you mean?
No, but if you have to take the body and ship it to Israel, all that time that it's not being buried is, I think...
That's why it's so important not to delay burials, by the way.
Why.
It's so important not to delay burials because the soul doesn't have a complete rest until the burial.
How
So
come
what
that
about-
Greenspan was buried 5 days after he died?
Who's
Because you
Greenspan?
know why?
Eddie Greenspan.
Who's Eddie Greenspan?
You know why? Because he died in the States.
Oh, he
So it
did?
takes time for you to sign papers and bring him over the border.
He's from the community?
He's from Toronto.
He's a huge criminal lawyer.
He's
Remember
one of
Eddie
the biggest
Greenspan?
lawyer.
Oh yeah? No, I don't know.
He was huge.
So what
I know
happened
Alan
then?
Dershowitz.
Yeah, he's great.
He's your guy, huh?
Great. Yeshiva.
We're good Jack
He's a
Benaim
yeshiva
didn't come
student.
tonight. There would have been a major clash. I think he was supposed to come.
So you didn't answer me the question, Rabbi.
The what?
So what happened
It's your family.
with the neshama that...
The soul hovers around and it doesn't have complete rest until there's a burial.
They don't know you're not.
So all that time that it's been transported to Israel...
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a great advantage. With every great advantage, yes, there is that disadvantage. There's no denying that there's that disadvantage. But some people opt for the bigger advantage to be buried in Israel.
Or maybe the worst, you come back to life.
The best thing, a person, lo aleinu, God forbid, it's his final days. He's 119 years old. He should move to Israel. That should be his final. He should have his final days over there. Lo aleinu, after 119 years. No, because this is scary to me because my wife reminded me, and I'm in denial about it, that I'm almost 40 years old. And I feel so old.
How old are you, Rabbi? 39?
Yeah, and in a couple of months I'm 40 years old, and I feel like I'm telling you, I have. It's a third of my life. What do you mean?
Turn 50.
Okay, you turn 50, so you turn on. I'm turning 40.
Same boat.
Yes. Oh, you too? You too? Oh, okay. Look at that. Maybe we'll share a birthday cake. Now, basically, Yosef says. They told Yosef, your father's sick. Yosef brings his 2 sons, Ephraim and Menashe. There was the switcheroo. Menashe was supposed to be the elder, and Ephraim was the child, and they switched them. Okay, why did he switch them? Because he saw that Ephraim was going to be greater at the end. Okay, but if we move on to the parasha, let's go to after he says Malach HaGoel, he blesses them, and we're in Aliyat Shlishi. I'm sorry. He blesses them. We're by Aliyat Revi'i. Aliyat Revi'i is an Aliyah that I call an insight to the future of the Jewish people. Aliyah Revi'i. So in page 275 in the English. Yeah. Vayikra Yaakov el banav vayomer. So Yaakov calls his sons and he says, Heasfu. I want you to gather. I'm going to tell you guys what's going to happen at the end of times. Hikabetzu v'shim'u b'nei Yaakov v'shim'u el Yisrael avichem. Come and gather around. And then he's going to start saying a blessing to each and every tribe. Yeah, he's going to go to Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, etc. So I don't know how far we're going to get to tonight, but I want to go through the different blessings of the different tribes because there's tremendous lessons. This is Yaakov Avinu. So first of all, there's a tremendous lesson over here. There's a tremendous lesson over here because unfortunately,
He blesses Ephraim and Menashe.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have a special tefillah that we say in the blessing of Rosh Chodesh, which is Yehi Ratzon Milfanecha. We ask from you, Hashem, that you should protect the Hachamim of Yisrael. You should protect the sage of Israel. I want to tell you like this. When Rabbi Elyashiv died, he was the great sage. You remember Rabbi Elyashiv? About what is that? A year and a half? Oh, no.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
More, yeah. No, 3 years ago. No. When Rabbi Elyashiv, 3 years. When Rabbi Elyashiv died, and that's Rav Yosef you're thinking. When Rabbi Elyashiv died, all of a sudden, there was a split in the Ashkenazi world. Machloket and fights started coming around. It's horrible. Till today, there's a very big split in the traditional Ashkenaz world. It was split into two camps, and it's horrible. You should know. There's one person that I met right now. He used to learn with me in Israel. He says he's American, and he doesn't like machloket, but he doesn't know what to do. He's in there. They're pulling him this way. They're pulling him this way. It's horrible.
Isn't there
What's the base of the machloket?
What's their basis? You wouldn't even believe it. This one says he's the leader, and this one says he's not. The rabbis themselves don't say they're the leader, but the students say this one is a student that way. And now look what's happening with the Sephardi world this week. The Sephardi world is in shambles in Israel. I don't know if you know this, yeah?
No, I don't.
No. With Shas, you don't know what's going on with Shas?
Oh, yeah, I read
it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. Ever since Rav Ovadia Yosef passed away, it's brewing now. This one is the leader. This one is there's no direction anymore. As long as the father is around, the kids don't fight. As long as the father is around, the kids don't fight. Yaakov Avinu over here was passing away. As long as he's around, there wasn't going to be a big machloket. There wasn't going to be the kids were behaving, but he was very afraid. Now, how is Yaakov going to deal with it? So listen to this. You think that he's going to be nice, and you think that he's going to tell everyone, everything's okay. But listen to this. He starts knocking Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. He says, Reuven, you're my bechor. Oh, you think you're my bechor? Kochi v'roshi oni, you're my first strength. Why my first strength, by the way? Because Yaakov Avinu never saw semen until he conceived. Reuven was conceived. He was so kadosh, he was so holy. That's why it's Reshit oni. That's what Rashi says, yeah? Yoter said v'yoter az. But your problem is, Pahaz kamaim al totar, ki alita mishkave avicha, az chilata yutze ala. You're impulsive. Unbelievable. It's a bracha, and he's telling him, like, it's the last blessing that he's giving his children, and he's telling him, you're impulsive. You're impulsive, and therefore, you're not going to be a leader, and you're not going to be king. We spoke about it on Shabbat, right? What's called a leader in Am Yisrael? What's called a leader? I'm going to get to Yehuda soon. But Reuven, you can't be a leader because you're impulsive. Which is, by the way, a very important point, because Reuven thought he was doing well, right? But what did he do? He acted upon his whims, his impulses, and it wasn't really his fault. I mean, he thought he was doing right.
That's usually what impulsive people do.
Yeah, but the lesson is that you would think that Yaakov is at the end of his life, he's just going to tell his children, No, he felt that he needed to know something. Bam! He hit him hard. And Reuven was like, whoa, he was hurt by that. I remember in yeshiva, I have a Rosh Yeshiva, very special person. Very special person. He comes to Toronto once a year on Purim. He's Rabbi Zrian also learned by him. Rabbi Pinto learned by him. A lot of people in the city learned by him. A lot of people all over the world. He's very straightforward. The first time ever told you this? First time I walked into his office.
He doesn't like straightforward people.
The first time I walked into his office,
Liberals.
I asked him a question. And he goes to me, like, you obviously didn't think through your question well enough. You obviously are just, if you would think a little bit more, would use your brains, maybe you'd come with the answer. And I was like, I was expecting, always they're nice to you and everything like that. But you know what? I realized that he meant it for my good, so I accepted it. And this also, there was somebody in the class. He was a Yale graduate. He was a prodigy. He was a big brain, and he would ask questions always in the middle of the shiur, and he would knock him. He would say, "Sing, you're giving me a horrible stomachache by these stupid questions." That was the way he would answer. And I was like, wow, he's insulting him. And nobody took it as an insult. He took it as a compliment, because they saw that, on the contrary, if the Rishiva didn't say that to you, you felt, oh, he obviously thinks I'm weak and I'm not getting it. Now, not everyone can do it. You have to really mean it for the person's good. Which is the problem with, a lot of times, with the challenge with parenting now. How straightforward can you be? Parents sometimes, I say this in my parenting classes, parents sometimes and remember this for Matthew when he goes older, parents underestimate sometimes the power that they have. A parent has a tremendous power. He has a tremendous influence and a tremendous power on his children. And sometimes we don't use it well enough. We don't use it, we think that our child, we're afraid to give direction. But a child needs direction, a child needs structure. Now, if he knows that his parent means it for this good, it's the most powerful thing in the world. There's nothing more powerful than that. Just you have to really mean it for the kid's good. Now don't get me wrong over here. We're going to start going back to he means for his good that I just fly him across the room. You know what? It could be, but it's a different generation now. Because we grew up without a street the way the kids are growing up. The kids have a street nowadays, and it's a very big difference between us. The street that the kids are exposed to, in the house even, with all of the technological gadgets, they have a street that we're not exposed to. They have a street that we're not exposed to. So it's a little bit different. Okay. Eric Azal was going to join us tonight through Skype, but it doesn't look like it's happening. Okay. So Reuven, you can't be the leader. But Reuven took it well, right? Shimon and Levi, Achim kli chamas michrotehem. Your trade is swords. בסודם אל תבוא נפשי, בקהלם אל תחת כבודי, כי באפם הרגו איש, ברצונם יקרו שור. I don't want you to be involved at all in my name to be involved with you. Arur apam, your anger should be cursed, ki az, because it's too strong. Ve'evretam, ki kashata. Achalkam beYaakov Avinu b'Yisrael. So what was his curse to them? He said like this. So Rashi says like this, I'm going to split you guys up. Levi is going to be a Levi. That means he's going to have to, for his parnasa, go around for trumot and ma'asrot, for collecting tithes. And Shimon is going to be teachers in Am Yisrael, so that you're going to be spread. So listen to this. Shimon and Levi, they both have tempers. They both killed the whole city of Sodom. And Yaakov wasn't happy with that. So what did he do? He said, okay, Shimon, you become teachers all over, and you become teachers of little children all over Israel. And Levi, you have to go all around also and spread Torah. That was the tribe of Levi. They went around and they spread Torah. Mm-hmm. Now this is very interesting, don't you think? There was a Jew called Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. I'm going to say what he said over tonight. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky lived on Palm Drive. I mentioned him a couple times. He used to be the rabbi of Toronto. Very, very holy Jew. He was one of the leaders of the last generation.
And what's the connection to the...
Tzvi? This is his grandfather. This is his grandfather. The Rabbi Tzvi Kamenetsky is his grandfather. So Yaakov is telling them, because of your anger, you're going to be teachers. Like, where does he get that from? Like, why? So there's 2 points, first of all, I wanted to bring up. Number one, Yaakov, we're going to notice as we go along, is telling all of the children what their strengths and what their mission in life is going to be. I'm going to speak about that a little bit later. But first of all, I want to speak about Shimon and Levi. Shimon is going to end up on being a teacher for the kids. Now, I don't know. Somebody who's angry, who has a temper, who Yaakov says, I'm upset at you guys that you acted like this. You want them to teach the kids? The answer is yes. To teach the kids, you have to have somebody with passion. And somebody who is a zealot. Somebody who believes very straightforward. I'll tell you like this. Bli Ayin Hara, I have a few children. I have a bunch of children. One of my children, she's very black and white. Very square-headed. It's like this and not like this. I call her, out of all my children, the principal of the family. To be a principal, to be an educator, you have to be very black and white. And you have to be zealous about it. No two ways about it. A zealot, right, Max, you know this. A zealot, he sees things black and there's no gray by him. It's either this or it's either that. And for kids, you need that. That was Shimon. And Levi the same way. But there was a very interesting turn in history. And this he points out is like this. Shimon, we find out in history, he didn't use his anger so well. In what episode could you remember that Shimon didn't use his anger so well? The tribe of Shimon.
Simply.
Right. Exactly. When by the parashat of Pinchas, right? That the prince of Shimon went, Zimri, and he says, he took his zealousness, he says, I'm going to show Moshe Rabbeinu that we're right. And he took the Kozbi Batsur, the princess of Midian, and he challenged Moshe Rabbeinu. And who killed him? Levi. Which, by the way, that's the first time where we see there was the split, right? Yaakov said, I'm going to split the brothers. That's where there was the split. Pinchas killed Zimri, which is Levi. Pinchas is from the tribe of Levi. Mm-hmm. Killed Zimri, which was the tribe of Shimon. Now, why is it that Levi turned out great? Because we see that when was the zealousness of Levi, the tribe of Levi, used for the good?
Golden calf.
Exactly, by the golden calf. The tribe of Levi said, Mila Hashem Elai. And they killed everybody who wasn't with Hashem. And Shimon used it for the bad. How come? No, Max, what do you say? It's a good question, no?
Yeah.
It's how you channel your energy. What do you do with it?
So I'll tell you why. What he says. Okay, why did they know how to channel it better? So I'm going to give you a nice answer. The Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, what did Levi do after they got these blessings? They were the Leviim. They didn't have to work. They learned. They learned Torah. If you're educated, you'll do things for the right reasons. Shimon straight away didn't have a Torah education. That's why I tell the kids, it's so important, after you finish high school, before you go out to the working world, get a couple of years of yeshiva under your belt. I used to teach in a yeshiva called Chappelle's, Dar Chenoim. It was in Bet HaKerem in Jerusalem. It was mostly college graduates from very good universities. We had from all over the spectrum, very good Ivy League universities, but it was mostly college graduates. And after they were about to get to go out to work, they would spend 1 or 2 years in yeshiva. And I told them that these years are the most formative under your years because you're not going to have an opportunity like this again. You're not going to have another opportunity that once you have a family and kids, you can go out and learn properly. If you want to have a successful life and you want to be able to do things for the right reasons, you have to have a good basis. You have to have a good basis. So I'm telling you this when you're going to have kids that are going to want to, after high school, they have to spend a little bit of time to learning in yeshiva. It's expensive, but it's worth it. But it's worth it because it's going to give them a solid basis. It's going to install for the rest of their life. A solid basis. Okay, so that's the lesson we learned from Shimon Yehuda. Nice, right? Can we go further? We're good. I have a couple of important points I wanted to speak about. The next is Yehuda. יהודה, אתה יודיך אחיך, ידיך בעורף אויביך, ישתחוו לך בני אביך. גור אריה יהודה, מטרף בני עליתה, קרא רבץ כאריה כלביא מקימנו. Yehuda. So what happened? Yehuda, Rashi says like this. Since Yehuda saw that Yaakov was beating up all the brothers, right? He was telling Reuven that you're impulsive. He was being very harsh on them. That was the topic for tonight. Why was Yaakov so harsh to his children? He was harsh to Reuven. He was harsh to Shimon. He was harsh to Levi. But Yehuda, Yehuda was a little bit scared. So he said, no. Yehuda, you proved that you were strong. Your job is going to be a leader. Gur Aryeh Yehuda. You're a lion. Miteref b'nei alita. You showed that you were strong. So we said on Shabbat. Why? Because number one, he showed that when he made a mistake, he admitted it. He said, I was wrong. He didn't patch up the mistake like certain presidents were, Max?
No, the buddy there.
That's right. He didn't patch up some mistakes. What he did instead, we said, when he was wrong, he said he was wrong. And he showed his leadership he showed his leadership qualities, which is that he stood up for a responsibility for what he had to do. Now it's interesting. Yaakov, some children, he told them directly rebuke, and other children he told them restraints. But each one had their purpose. Reuven, you're impulsive, do this. Shimon, you're angry and you're zealous, be a teacher. Yehuda, be a leader. Yisachar, you're going to sit and learn. Zevulun, you're going to support. Gad, Dan, you are fast, you're going to be you are fast. Naphtali, you're going to be on the seas. Everybody had their jobs. Yaakov Avinu said like this. Everybody in Am Yisrael, everybody in the nation of Israel has their purpose and has their mission. Not everybody is the same. And we make mistakes about this all the time. We think that we have to be like the other guy, and we have to do our, we have to conquer the world and do everything at the same time. We have to be a leader, and we have to be this, and we have to be that. It's not necessarily so. A person has to realize each person has to know what his mission is like in his life is. How do you know what your mission in life is? What is
difficult for you to do?
No.
If you have tzaddik father and die and bless you.
No, not what you find challenging. I don't know why you're saying that.
No, I say if you have tzaddik father and if she die, bless you, and you know afterwards.
Yeah, Yaakov, that was easy for them to know. How do we know what our mission in life is? Whatever you're passionate for is what your mission in life is. Whatever you have a passion for. Me, I know my passion is to restore the glory of the Chachamim of Morocco. I don't know why. Some people think I'm crazy, but that's what I love doing. I love restoring and I love teaching Torah, and I love spreading the Torah of the Chachamim of Morocco. That's what I like doing. So I spend a lot of my energy in that and it's not only that. You see I'll tell you like this. I used to live across the street from one of the greatest tzaddikim of the generation, and his name was Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe. You ever heard of him? His books are over there. He was a mashgiach. I think Rabbi Yoziel reads his books a lot. If you probably heard Rabbi Yoziel quote him a lot. Wolbe. He escaped the Holocaust. And he was a teacher for thousands and thousands of students. Now, he was hard of hearing. On Shabbat, he wouldn't even use a thing. It's allowed to use a thing, but he wouldn't use it. So I would always have a hard time communicating with him because he never really wanted to answer my questions. But I persisted. I'm a very persistent person. So I would go back to him and I would speak to him. And I couldn't get through. So until I found out what he loves was Balei Tshuva, in other words, bringing people back to religion. in other words, and I was involved then with an organization called Lev Le'achim. I was in my 20s. But Lev Le'achim is an organization, listen to this, of Avrechim. Every single week, it says like this, just like you have to give, Rav Moshe Feinstein says, just like you have to give 10% of your money to tzedakah, so too you have to give 10% of your time for your fellow Jew. You know that? And so Rav Olga would always say, so too, Avrechim, they have to give 10% of their time. So what we would do is that we would go out to neighborhoods. I was living in Givat Shaul. We'd have a bus that would go to Kiryat Yovel. Kiryat Yovel was Little Morocco. Little Morocco.
What is that?
Kiryat Yovel is a neighborhood right outside of Beit Vegan. You know where Beit Vegan neighborhood is in Jerusalem? Mm-hmm. Right. So it was a 10-minute bus ride. And they would give us instructions. This is an Ashkenaz organization. They would give us an instruction. You see an Ashkenazi name? Skip it. Don't even go there. Only the Sephardi names you knock on. Because they knew that from experience they're not going to open up the door. We knock on the door. Yeah, come on in. We want to learn Torah with you. Why not? And we'd come in. He believed, Rav Wolbe was very passionate about this. He believed that if everyone would do this, the whole country of Israel would be religious to a certain degree. He was a very firm believer in this. Because a lot of people, they're just not religious because they don't have the opportunity, exposure, and then it's a dominoes effect. They see that the media makes Torah look like like everything like dark and they propose that there's machloket. It's not true. So many people are open to religion and want to come closer to Hashem. They're missing something in their life. You're not going to get everyone, but there's going to be so many people that come. So he was very passionate about that. Once I found out he was very passionate about the subject, after the 6 Day War, all he did was go from army base to army base and speak, because a lot of people were thirsty and they wanted to come back to Tshuva, and he brought back a lot of people. Do you know Rabbi Leib Kellerman? You know Rabbi Leib Kellerman? Amram Ben Kassus brings Rabbi Leib. Max, you know Rabbi Leib Kellerman? Amram Ben Kassus brings him
I know.
to speak. So he's
Who? He had a very great story about
permission to believe, permission to
Lawrence
receive.
Kellerman.
Lawrence Kellerman.
Oh, he's great. I know that guy.
So
Who brings him in?
So Amram Ben Kassus. I would.
Who's on? Oh, that guy. Yeah.
So I would go with him. He lives on your street. You should know him. He lives right behind you. So I would go with Rabbi Kelman to hear of Volbet. He would speak to thousands of yeshiva bachrim, but he told me his real passion is people who are further away from Judaism, bringing them closer.
Kelman?
No, Rav Volbek, Kelman's mentor. Rabbi Kelman's mentor. So
Kelman likes to
I knew-
disprove Christianity.
that's right. Right, but that letter to the Pope. So he was hard of hearing. Once I found out that he liked the Bakir V'Chokim, I would speak to him. All of a sudden, he would be open. He would listen and listen and listen, and he was totally interested in whatever I had to say, because I found out what he was passionate about. One time I asked him, "How do you know if what you're doing is really what Hashem wants?" So he said, if you see that your actions are being successful and there's results of your actions, that means you're on the right track. So personally, on my personal story, when I saw that when I wrote my book on the Moroccan things, it was, for some reason, I don't know why, but people were interested in it. I knew I was on the right track. So I kept on going with it. And each and every single person, that's what you have to do. You have to see what you're passionate about. Some people, they love chesed. They love helping out other people. They love helping out, finding poor families and helping them out. Some people, they love making sure that their kids come out to the best that they can and invest all their energies in that. Some people, they know that their mission in life is to promote tefillah, prayer, and being serious about prayer, not talking in shul. Oh, that's him. He's there.
That's already Benji Tree.
No, that's
Every person has something that they're passionate about. Every person has something that they're passionate about. You have to find what you're passionate about, because Yaakov didn't give the same bracha to everyone. Everyone, you should pray and you should learn and you should this. He didn't do that. He said, Yehuda, you're made to be a leader. Shimon and Levi, you better control your anger and go out and teach. Naphtali, you're made to be on the sea.
So,
Rabbi Nadaf, we're 9 with you. You have to get. Yeah, you have chavrusa now. Yeah. Okay.
Who was the quote that your topic is what you're passionate about? Who said it?
This was. I'm trying to think. I think Rabbi Orlowick said it, but I'm not sure.
Well, Yisrael Yaakov says from the Arizal
Yeah.
that the things that you're good at, that's to build up as much as you could, and the things you're weak at, that's your tikkun on.
That's what you have to rectify. But what we said over here, Yaakov Avinu says that every single person has their job in the world, and one person is not like the other person, and one person is not like the other person. So he gave each person their thing, but he still gathered them. But you're still part of Klal Yisrael. So unfortunately, we have in Israel so many political parties. This one doesn't want to be like this one, and this one is not like this one. This one's not like this one. Everybody has their place. It's just they have to come together on a common goal. Like you have a lot of different shuls. It's not necessarily a bad thing that you have all different types of shuls. Some shuls cater to this one. Some people like bigger shuls. Some people like smaller. Some people like bigger shuls. Some people like smaller shuls. Some people like Ashkenazi style. Some people like Sephardi style. Some people like Moroccan style. Some people like Spanish. Some people like French. Some people like this. That's fine. But it has to be under one banner. So Yaakov said, you want to be different, that's fine. But it has to come under one banner. Gather around. That's what Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says. It could be you're all different, but make sure you gather around. Now, there was a very interesting Ramban, Nachmanides, that says, what was Yehuda's? Yehuda got punished. It says there's a prohibition. Lo yasur shevet mi Yehuda. The leadership shouldn't sway from Yehuda. We just finished Chanukah, right? Chanukah, the Chashmonaim, and I spoke about this last week in the inauguration, that the Chashmonaim were the leaders after the Greeks, right? So it's like this. In the second Bet HaMikdash lasted for 420 years. The first 100 and something years was Alexander the Great, right? It was ruled by Alexander the Great. After that, the Greeks took over, which was Antiochus, for another 100 years. After that, the Chashmonaim, the husband, the Maccabees, they took over, and their rule reigned for the next 150 to 100 years. But they made a big mistake. The Ramban says that they lost. Nowadays, there's not one person left from the Chashmonaim. They all got wiped out, their family. Why? Because the Ramban says like this. They were such big tzaddikim. And if it wasn't for them, Torah would have been forgotten. Nevertheless, a great punishment came to them. Why? Because these people,
Who said this?
the Ramban, these people took the leadership of Am Yisrael, and they weren't supposed to. What do you mean? They were tzaddikim. Why shouldn't they have taken the leadership? You know what the answer is? It's not your job. It's the other person. It's Yehuda's job to be the king. You're stepping on someone else's territory.
Who's the Chashmonim? Who are they?
The Chashmonaim is the Maccabees.
Yeah, but who
Who are they? I don't know. Yochanan.
What tribe are they?
What tribe?
Leviim, of course. They were all the Leviim, right? I'm going to call Victor because I want him to come for a minyan. So give me a... So I'm sorry, but it's for a minyan.
You pray?
No.
So...
No?
Even though, in other words, even though they were great tzaddikim, they got punished at the end of the day because they stepped over somebody else's boundaries.
You mean after they won the war, they should have said, "Okay, we did our job."
Yeah, this happened 50, 100 years after the war. That they start. In other words, the Gemara says anybody who says that they're from the tribe of Bet Chashmonai, you know that they're a mamzer. You know that they're like not kosher because they're trying to go into and there was no such thing. There was nobody who survived from the Chashmonaim. Nobody could say he's descendants of the Chashmonaim nowadays. Because so what was their great sin? They were such tzaddikim. The Ramban asks. He asked that question. What did they do wrong? So he says, you know why? Higia onesh lo avru ela ba'avur zeh. They only went away because of this. Shemalchu velo ayu mezera Yehuda mi Bet David, and they weren't from Bet Yehuda and Bet David. It's not your job. Don't do it. Your job is Levi. It's to serve in the Bet Hamikdash. Your job is to be a part of the Levium tribe that they sat and they learned, and then they were the priests and they did the avodah. It's not your job to be the king.
But they wasn't king. They wasn't king.
They took this leadership like kingdom. Yes, they became like the kings.
Is it self-proclaimed kings, or there was nobody else to do the job and they had to do the job?
I think that they probably felt that they were the only ones who could do the job, but that's not excusable.
Do we have a Moshe Rabbeinu?
But this is only one opinion. The Ramban, that's that.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know any other opinion. Why else? Why else? Their whole family. Imagine what they did from you. They saved Am Yisrael. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have Torah
It was
nowadays.
destroyed by the Roman after that.
But
Yeah, but that's later. That's later. That's later.
But Rabbi, we have Moshe Rabbeinu also. We have from tribe of Levi, and he was like the king from Israel.
Yeah.
Moshe Rabbeinu, right?
Yeah.
He was a
But
Levi.
he was
He
chosen
wasn't
from God.
Levi.
He wasn't
But
a
he
king.
But he was chosen from
Like,
God in any
He wasn't a
case.
king.
He was
Like a king
chosen-
is not a king. Like a king. Until Shaul, there was no king.
Yeah.
Shaul was the first one who said, we need kingdom. Chashmonaim came a long time after that, right? Chashmonaim came a long time after that. Oh, good. He's coming. Victor is coming. We're going to have minyan.
All right. The passion thing that you mentioned, is it only passion in what you're good at for Avodat Hashem? Because some people, for example, they have a passion to be, say, a rock star, and they're successful in that.
Yeah.
So is that also count that they're doing the right thing for them? Is that their mission?
Well, if it's not going to serve everybody, you know what? I know a lady. I know a certain lady. Maybe you guys know her also. That beforehand, she was a very she had a very good voice, very prominent singer. But then she became religious, and it's not sanua, it's not stupid for her to perform in front of men. So now what does she do? She performs for religious ladies, and she's a very big hit. So you don't have to hide your tongue. If you're a rock star, so do it for the right purpose. There's Jewish music that you could inspire people, or even goyim, but you pass on a positive message. Everyone within the realm of Torah, within the umbrella of Torah, is very wide. We don't. But that's the problem. People think you could only be like this. There's different people in Am Yisrael. Not everybody has to be the same. Not everybody has to be a righty. There's also room for the tree huggers, Max.
But Rabbi, it's not a question of be the same. Not everybody is the same. It's
Right.
the fact.
I know.
It's not a choice.
But sometimes a person tries to be what he's not. And that's a problem. Not everybody is made to learn.
That's right.
Not everybody's made to learn. That's a problem. In the certain systems that there are, everybody feels that they have to. Well, maybe this person's not his job to learn.
How do we get
Other people, maybe it's their job. It's not their job to it's not their job to be a leader. Not everybody's job. Certain people, they're not made out for it to be a leader. Maybe they should do something else. Everybody has to see if they're having hatzlacha in something and they're passionate about it. So you're on the right track.
Like Magedavin, everybody doing the Hazan here.
That's everywhere. That's all the Moroccans that way.
How do we learn that the Shimon and Levi was supposed to be teaching? He doesn't actually.
You only
say
came with
that.
one person?
Only one person. Or one?
3.
He by himself.
He's gonna kill me.
Rabbi
or something.
Lebhar is gone?
Yeah, Rabbi Nidov had to go teach somewhere. He's gonna kill me or something. I'm not gonna call him. Last time I called him.
Poor guy, he
We
must
need-
be
He's
sleeping.
the closest.
We need one more guy. Who are you calling?
He already came for a V. He already did a V.
Asma.
Yeah, he came for it.
I give me hands. Go Max. Are you warning?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have your own minyan over there in Kila Center?
Because it doesn't actually say that.
Rashi.
Oh,
Let's
Rashi.
look at Rashi. Let's do it
Oh.
together.
Where are you? Okay, fine.
Hmm?
You know that Dina, her brother married her at the end. Shimon promised to marry her because nobody else, she was afraid that nobody else would marry her after she was violated by Shechem. So in order for Shimon to actually grab her out of Shechem, she says, no, nobody else is going to want to marry me. She had to marry Shimon, her own brother.
But it's not
Before
Gilukah.
the Torah was
Why
given.
you read this?
But this
Yeah, this is written.
Some say that Dina
All
married
Shaftim
the
has
job.
Huh?
No, the
Don't
job.
marry the sisters, no, Rabbi?
Job. That's why he have the
Yeah, he
power
also
and
married
make
them.
tzaddikim, makes it tzaddik.
Alright.
The job, because Job it's not a Jewish. Job was from yes.
Time. Young rabbis, I don't make something up.
No beracha to Dina, nothing.
But where does it say
She
that
was, it's not
Shimon?
here.
I just saw it recently.
Danny Oziel's on his way.
Oh, good. Danny Oziel Weiner, that's pretty good.
Add him to your list.
Danny Oziel. He's half French, so we could call him half of the time. Well, mention one thing that towards the why is it actually that Yaakov he switched hands at the right at the end we see in the parashat that Yaakov that Menashe was the eldest and Ephraim was the next one in line. Why is it that actually that he switched them? Because Ephraim was going to come out to be the light of Am Yisrael. Ephraim was going to come. Yeshua was going to come out. Now, why? I was always puzzled by this. Why is it fair then? Like Menashe didn't do anything wrong. Like why is it fair? Why is it fair that you should switch the hands because of it? Menashe right now, there's always going to be bechur. There's always going to be free choice.
No, the wrong for the Menashe that they say is wrong.
Yeah.
Is was they run and says to the brothers, stop and we make the Benjamin put the child and make the brothers rip the clothes.
Yeah.
That was wrong for the Menashe. That's why the half of the tribe go out.
Right. That was
Israel.
later. But how did we know that was going to happen?
No, before go to Egypt, he ran and make this mistake. Before the Beracha.
So let me tell you what the Arizal writes.
Before the Beracha.
Let me tell you what the Arizal writes. The Arizal writes that our whole essence, why are we called Yisrael? We're all based on Yaakov because Avram was not pure because he had Yishmael. Yitzchak was not pure because I had Esav. Yaakov was perfect with 12 perfect children. In other words, Yaakov was saying that from his descendants, whoever's going to have the perfect track records, and he saw this. Whoever's going to have the perfect track record, they're going to be the eventual leaders. I mean, he gave that over to Ephraim. All right, let's start Shir Ma'alot. It's later.